Alles Ờ, Oh, benar-benar mau dibilang orang. Oh, eh?
Hello, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening. Okay. Uh, right. This is Vijayanti. Where
Yes,
are
madam.
you from, Vijayanti?
Actually, I'm out of the country. I live in
Uh-huh.
UAE.
I see. So, what time is it now in UAE?
Now it's 6:30.
Evening.
Yes, 6:30 evening.
Right. Right. So, then others, good evening, everyone.
Good evening, madam.
Good evening,
Okay.
madam.
Now, right. And the module that I'm doing is, you know what the module is? Educational psychology, right? Uh,
Yes, sir.
Anybody who has done educational psychology before? Have you done educational
Actually,
psychology? Sorry?
actually, no, madam. This is the first time.
Right, okay. First time. Others, anybody? Maybe one or two at least out of 39 in the class today, 41 now. Have you done educational psychology or you know some educational psychology? No. But some of you all are from colleges of education. Don't you have that subject, educational psychology?
Yeah, I have done, madam.
What's your name?
I am Shahani.
Shahani. Okay. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. Uh, we will have a chit chat next time or later on, but straight away we will get to the topic today.
Yeah, sure.
My module is educational psychology, right? So, educational psychology is a professional subject. Uh, what does it mean by professional subject? Now, you will not walk into the classroom to teach educational psychology, right? So, if you do mathematics, if you do science, uh, if you do English, sometimes that you are teaching that subject to your students, right? But this subject is not to actually go and teach your students, but they are the most important. Why? Because it will actually make you to become a professional teacher who adheres to kind of uh, understanding of the young learners, then help them to actually develop their personality, most appropriate methodology to teach, and you know the mind of your young learners. Because of that, you can understand them better. And when you understand your students better, you can build up a very good rapport between you and the students. Rapport is a relationship, right? It's very, very important in learning and teaching process. The teacher and the student should build up a very good understanding and a rapport. So that can happen if you actually know your educational psychology, right? So because of that, this comes under the subject category professional subjects. That means that these subjects are not for you to go and teach them, the students, but instead to become a professional teacher, right? So educational psychology will actually get you to understand your students a whole lot better than uh, who you are today, and it will actually make you a professional teacher who builds up a very good rapport with your students. That is actually the purpose of this module. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, madam.
Yeah, okay. It's clear to you. Now I'm asking this question. Psychology, right? Psychology, it cannot be a new word because it's a very common word now, right? Um, but long time back when I was first time doing educational educational psychology at psychology. What does it mean by psychology? It was a kind of a word that we have never heard of, right? Long time back. But now, of course, even a small child knows this term psychology. But they might not know the meaning or the definition or what it means exactly. So I'm asking you, can you tell me what is meant by psychology? What is meant by psychology as you understand? It may be right, it may be wrong, or it may be not all good and bad. It's okay. You tell me. What is um, educational psychology? Sorry, what is psychology?
Of science.
Can you repeat?
Soul of science.
Soul of science. Okay. What is meant by soul then?
It actually, the psychology means it derived from two Greek words, psych and logos. So
Uh,
psych means soul, logo
uh,
means science. So based on
uh,
that, actually a common meaning for that, psychology means soul of science.
okay. Right. You're correct there. Others? Others? You can
Ma'am,
give it a try.
study about behavior, mindset like that.
Study about the behavior and the mind. Right. Okay. That is also good. Who is this?
Sifan.
Shifan. Okay. Yes. According to Shifan, the study of the mind and the behavior. Okay.
Mm.
Then others also can contribute.
The nature
Human
of
being.
the living,
Repeat.
the nature of the living, the person, the human, the nature of the living.
The nature of the living. Right. Okay. I don't say that you're right or you're wrong. So to get you to know what it is, I will get you to look at this definition. You can see it on the slides. I have highlighted in red. This is the definition given to the term psychology by APA. APA. APA stands for who knows. APA stands for who knows. In referencing also you use APA format in education. What is APA? American Psychological Association. American Psychological Association. Psychology can be defined, or psychology is defined as the scientific study of the mind and behavior. So as Shifan said, psychology is the science of the soul is the same, right? Psychology is the scientific study of the mind and behavior. That is the APA definition. APA stands for American Psychological Association. Now, this is a very simple definition, right? What are the key words in this definition? Now, while listening, you can make notes, dear, right? Not everything I speak, but you can actually now put three dots and say what are the three key words in this definition. The three key words are mind, behavior, and scientific study. Scientific study. Those are the three key words in this APA definition of psychology. So we will take word by word now, right? When you actually look at a definition, you have to actually find the key words and then actually explain it further. Okay? Now we will first take mind, right? What is referred to as mind? What is referred to as mind? I'm asking you. What is referred to as mind? Mind is our thought process. Mind is our thought process, our feelings, our emotions, our temperaments, and our thoughts. That is our mind. Okay? What we think, how we feel, they are our mind. Our thought process is our mind. So, then can we actually uh, see our mind? Is it something tangible?
No.
No, tangible.
Is it some? No, we can't. Now, even if your eye, you can get it actually enlarged. You can see the eye through a kind of equipment, and you can actually get an X-ray of the eye, go for a surgery even. But mind is not something like that. It's not tangible. So how on earth that you are going to study the mind if it is not tangible, right? That is where the term, as mind cannot be observed, right? You observe the behavior of the person, and then accordingly that you interpret. Looking at the behavior, you interpret what is going on in the mind. Otherwise, there's no way of actually studying the mind, as it's not something tangible. But we look at the behavior which is observable and then interpret their mind. Okay? Why? Because we behave according to our mind. Our actions are based on our thoughts. Our actions are the results of our thoughts. So, because of that, you look at the behavior, the actions, and then you interpret it, what is going on in the mind, because mind is not something tangible. For example, now I look at you all in the virtual class. I get you to actually have your video cameras on and all that. If not, no video cameras, now your responses. So your responses are your behavior. So if you willingly respond, your mind can be interpreted by me, or they are interested in the subject. Now you're not responding at all. So I keep on asking questions, but you don't respond. That is your behavior. Now I can think of your mind. They don't like the subject. That is the connection between mind and behavior. Got it? Got it? You need to respond, please.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
madam.
Yes,
Yeah.
madam.
Then when it comes to your students also, now you can't actually, you want to know your students. No? Each and every student, the teacher should know them. Teacher should have that understanding. How can you actually have them, know them? You do not actually see their mind, but you can see their actions, the behavior. So you're going to look at their actions and behaviors, and you're going to interpret what is going on in their mind. Okay? But the third keyword is scientific study. What is meant by this scientific study? Now, for example, you have a student all the time actually um, not looking at you at all. He's not looking at you. He doesn't actually engage in classroom work with enthusiasm and all that. So you can actually look at that behavior and interpret the mind in a random, haphazard manner. And you think that he doesn't like me. That is why he doesn't look at me, Kela. That is your layman's interpretation. It is not scientific. Okay? But if you know psychology, you're not going to make layman's interpretations to the behaviors to know the mind. Instead, you will relate it to concepts, theories in psychology, and accordingly that you interpret the behavior. Accordingly that you will interpret the behavior. So psychology, of course, is a scientific study because experiments are conducted longitudinally and cross same group of people over a long period of time that you observe and study them. Cross-sectionally, several group of people at the same time. That is cross-sectionally. So one concept, one theory, it is actually generalized after experimenting longitudinally and cross-sectionally. So it is scientific. It's not haphazard or random. So as teachers who are professionals, as teachers who know educational psychology, you are going to look at the students' behaviors to know their mind, but you will know their mind by looking at the behavior not in a random or haphazard manner. Instead, based on the theories and concepts formulated and presented to you in psychology. Otherwise, it can be a misinterpretation, no? If you don't base it on psychological concepts and theories, it will be a misinterpretation of the behavior. It can be. So as a professional teacher, you won't allow that to happen because the behavior is interpreted to know the mind, but they are interpreted not in a haphazard manner, but relating to psychological theories and concepts. So that is what this APA definition of psychology is about, with three keywords: mind, behavior, and scientific study. Okay, then? Any questions? Okay, any questions? I want you to respond. That is very impolite otherwise.
Okay, madam.
Okay, good. Others?
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, madam.
Now, the first topic I discussed was definition of psychology, referring to the APA definition with three keywords. Got it now?
Yes, madam.
Yeah,
Right.
ma'am.
Yeah. Now we are going, Somebody wanted to ask a question? Who wanted to ask question? No? Right. Then we look at now second subtopic for the day. The second subtopic is evolution of psychology. Second subtopic is evolution of psychology. Now you can write it down. Definition of psychology, discuss. APA, three keywords. You can actually make your own notes here. And then the second subtopic is the evolution. EVOLUTION. Evolution is the development, right, of psychology. So, psychology, right? Psychology became a separate field of study. Psychology became a separate field of study in 1879. In 1879. Okay? Yeah, in 1879. How? Father of psychology, father of psychology, Wilhelm Wundt, established the first psychology lab in the Leipzig University, Germany. Even today, if you want to pursue your higher studies in psychology, the best place to go is Germany, the Leipzig University. Okay. So in 1879, Wilhelm Wundt established the first psychology lab in the Leipzig University, Germany, and from there onwards, psychology became a separate field of study. That was the humble beginning. But anyway, before psychology became separate field of study in 1879, the subject matter that we discuss in psychology, the subject matter that we discuss in psychology, it was discussed in philosophy and biology, philosophy and physiology, if not biology or physiology. And then with the establishment of the first psychology lab, psychology became a separate field of study. That is the humble beginning. That is clear to you, dear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Then we'll go to the next, third subtopic for the day, right? Major perspectives, major approaches, or major schools of thoughts of psychology. Same, they all refer to the same. Major perspectives, if not major approaches, if not major schools of thought of psychology. Right? There are others, but we are looking at the four major. There are other schools of thoughts as well, but we are looking at the four major. What are the four major schools of thought in psychology as I've given you? Psychoanalysis perspective or school of thought, behavioristic perspective or school of thought, humanistic school of thought, and cognitive school of thought. They are the four major perspectives or schools of thoughts in psychology, but there are several others as well. So I want to actually explain further what they mean. Okay, but before that, tell me what are the four major perspectives of psychology? One of you can read it from the slides.
Psychoanalysis perspective, behavioristic perspective, humanistic perspective, cognitive perspective.
Very good. Now I will explain one by one. So our subtopic is major perspective or approaches or schools of thought of psychology. We are looking at four major. There are several others as well. A school of thought or approach or perspective means these different schools of thoughts have their own focuses, and beliefs about studying the mind through the observable behavior. They have their focuses. They have their own beliefs about studying the mind. Okay? That is a school of thought. That is a school of thought. So we will take look one by one and see what is their focus and what they believe when it comes to psychology. So the first one is the behavioristic perspective. Behavioristic perspective or behavioristic school of thought. According to behavioristic school of thought or perspective, right? They believe that now psychology is the scientific study of mind through the observable behavior, right? So behavioristic school of thought, that the psychologists who belong to this behavioristic school of thought, they actually believed that they had the assumption that our behavior is a result of our interaction, our dealing, our connection with the environment. I repeat. Now, behaviorism as a school of thought, as one of the major schools of thought in psychology. So, what is meant by behaviorism then? Into the school of thought, the behavior of the individual is a result of his or her interaction with his or her environment. Remember in psychology, remember in psychology, environment does not mean trees, animals, sky, the sea, and all that. No, it's not nature, right? It is actually everything not within you is your environment. Everything not within you is your environment. For example, if you take yourself, right, your apex campus is your environment. Um, lecture given to you is your environment. Your next door is your environment. Your school is your environment. Your workplace is your environment. Your siblings, your within you is your environment. Everything not within you is your environment. So according to behaviorists, we behave like this because of our interaction with the environment. For example, for example, now you have a friend, you have your sister or brother at home. Now she actually grabs your toys. She grabs your toys, grabbing it. So because of your environment, that is your sister, dealing with your environment, that you want to actually hit the sister. Right? That is your behavior. That is your behavior. So always our behavior is influenced by our environment, every scientifically studying the mind through the observable behavior. So now I want you to actually ask questions on this before I move on to the next major perspective. Any questions? Any questions? Apome, silence is not really good, Appa. Silence is killing, no? Any questions, please?
So far, it's clear,
No,
ma'am.
madam, we are clear.
Right, okay, very good. Then that is behavioristic perspective or the school of thought. So those psychologists behave. Anyway, psychology is the scientific study of the mind through the observable behavior. But they believe that our behavior is our response to our environment, everything not within us. Right? I'm your environment, you're my environment. Right? Like that. Your cult, your religion, your school, your siblings, your neighbors, they're all your environment. Okay? So we are actually responding. Sister grabbing your toys, that is the environment, and your behavior is a response to it. You're now actually eating the sister. That is some example that I can give you. Right. Who are the pioneers in behaviorism school of thought? නැත්නම් behavioristic school of thought, who are the pioneers? Ivan Pavlov. I'm very sorry, not Ivan Pavlov. I'm very sorry. Uh,
It's Ivan.
yeah, Ivan Pavlov. It's not Ivan. Actually, it's read as it's Russian. Russian name නිසා එකට අපි කියන්නේ Ivan කියලා. තේරුණා නේද? IVAN තමයි. නමුත් Russian pronunciation Ivan Pavlov. Third one is BF Skinner. So actually we have two theories from behavioristic school of thought. Two theories to study from behaviorism in our syllabus. We will be coming to them later on, right? So anyway, behaviorists, that is psychologists from the behavioral school of thought, they had the assumption or the belief that our behavior is a response to our environment, that is everything not within us. Okay. Then we'll come to the second thought is psychoanalysis school of thought. Second major school of thought is psychoanalysis school of thought and the perspective. Right. Who are the pioneers of psychoanalysis perspective? Sigmund Freud. You can see the spellings here. School of thought. Okay. So what is their assumption on the belief? That is what we are going to discuss now. What is their assumption? Okay. Right. Now, psychoanalysis perspective in the school of thought, what is their assumption when it comes to the scientific study of the mind observer behavior? Pioneered by Sigmund Freud, right? Pioneered by Sigmund Freud, psychoanalysts believe that our mind has three components or three parts. Our mind consists of three parts. Our mind consists of three parts. Right? Now, this is a revolutionary psychoanalysis school of thought, studying only the one part of the mind. Only one part of the mind, that is the conscious mind. But Sigmund Freud, for the first time in psychoanalysis school of thought, believed that, or actually discovered that our mind has three parts. Very ironical. Psychologists, psychoanalysis school of thought have three parts or components. What are these three parts or components of our mind? You can take down and unconscious mind. I repeat, conscious mind, preconscious mind, and that. So these are the three parts of our mind according to Sigmund Freud and the psychoanalysis. Ironically, psychology was the scientific study of the mind to the heart. right? So Sigmund Freud only actually introduced this concept. Our mind has three components or parts, and to introduce this, he drew an analogy. He drew an analogy. Analogy is a comparison. So what is his parts as conscious, preconscious, and subconscious? We call it the iceberg analogy. You might take it down, the iceberg analogy, right? To talk about our mind, which has three parts. Sigmund Freud actually drew an analogy, and our mind is compared to an iceberg. Our mind is compared to an iceberg. Okay, now we will actually look at this iceberg analogy of the three components of the mind introduced by psychoanalysts. Right. That is what we are going to discuss next. And I will actually take 2 or 3 minutes and then.
Ma'am, excuse me.
Yes.
Actually, sometimes we can't hear properly what you are mentioning because might be the signal drop is there. So it's hard to clear for the lesson. I don't know. I feel in my side.
Others also feel the same?
Yes, ma'am, I have also. Yes,
Same
madam.
Yeah,
problem.
ma'am,
So
little
let
bit.
me fix let me fix it. Okay, let me fix it. Okay. Uh, is it clearer now? Is it okay now?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay. If there's anything, let me know. So we are
Sure.
in the psychoanalysis school of thought, and these psychologists, psychoanalyst scale, this group of psychologists, they actually believe that psychology is the scientific study of the mind, and they have that assumption our mind has three parts. Before them, actually, psychology did not believe in that. They didn't know, they were not aware. So this actually brought in a revolutionary change because mind is the focus of psychology, right? So having three parts of a mind, it's revolutionary. ඇත්තටම කියනවා නම්. It's new knowledge and it brought in a revolutionary change. So then, to actually talk about this, the three components of the mind, Sigmund Freud actually drew an analogy. That analogy is termed as iceberg analogy. So mind is compared to an iceberg. Mind is compared to an iceberg to talk about the three components of the mind, right? So I told you what are the three components of the mind according to this psychoanalysis?
Conscious, semi-conscious, unconscious.
Semi නෙවෙයි, pre-conscious, P-R-E.
Okay, ma'am.
Conscious, pre-conscious, and unconscious. Right. Then first we will take conscious mind. the conscious mind is compared to the tip of the iceberg in the iceberg analogy. The conscious mind is compared to the tip of the iceberg in the iceberg analogy. Now you can see the tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg is the what you can see above the sea level. The part of the iceberg that you can see above the sea level. Okay? That is the tip of the iceberg. That is compared to the conscious mind. And what is there in the conscious mind then? The thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the temperaments that the individual is aware of. The thoughts, the feelings, the emotions, the individual, you and I, we are aware of. That is our conscious mind. Okay? It is compared to the tip of the iceberg in the iceberg analogy. What is there in the conscious mind? The feelings, the emotions, the thoughts that we are aware of, and they are going on now in your conscious mind. What is the percentage of the conscious mind? From the whole mind, the conscious mind is less than 10% of it. If you take the whole mind, the conscious mind is only less than 10% of the whole mind. Now, for example, the feelings, thoughts, and emotions that you are aware of, right? Now I'm talking to you and you don't understand it. If not, my voice is breaking. Because of that, you're angry with me and you're annoyed with the lecturer and you're aware of it. That is your conscious mind. Thoughts and feelings and emotions that you're aware of and going on in your mind right now is your conscious mind. It is actually compared to the tip of the iceberg, and from the whole mind, the conscious mind is only less than 10%. Right? Okay, no? Then we'll go to the second part of the mind. The second part of the mind is the preconscious mind. Second part of the mind is the preconscious mind. PRE, preconscious. Okay, PRE, preconscious. What is meant by preconscious? It is compared to the faded part of the iceberg. The part of the iceberg that can be seen through. Now, if the iceberg is underwater, now from the surface you can see a small part but blurred. Am I right? It's not very clear, a small part but blurred. That part is compared to the preconscious mind. It is the blurred part of the iceberg that you can see. It is underwater, but you can actually see a blurred part of the iceberg. That part is compared to the preconscious mind. So what is going on? What is stored in the preconscious mind? They are the feelings, the emotions, the experiences, the thoughts, right? That is not right at the moment in your mind, but once pricked, which can be actually retrieved. Once pricked, it is retrieved. Once pricked, it is retrieved. Now, for example, I started with the definition of psychology. Right at the moment, you were not thinking of the definition of the psychology. But now I ask you a question, I pricked it. And now you can actually recall it. That is your preconscious mind, which is compared to the faded part of the iceberg, which is actually seen through. And that part also, if you take the preconscious mind, that part also only less than 10% of your whole mind. Only 10% of your whole mind. Less than 10% of your whole mind. Now I will give you an example from a psychology book, right? This is an example from the psychology book to distinguish between conscious and the preconscious mind. Now it's your birthday, right? It's your birthday. So you meet your girlfriend or boyfriend, and you're expecting a surprise. You're expecting a surprise, right? But he or she has forgotten your birthday. He or she has forgotten your birthday. Now you are angry, you're hurt, you're about to cry, you're full of sadness. That is your conscious mind. Why? You feel angry, you're hurt, you feel down, and you want to shout at him. So that is your conscious mind, and you're aware of it, and it's going on in your mind right now. And all of a sudden, you can't help it, though you actually hate your ex-boyfriend or the girlfriend, you hate because he or she let you down. But you are reminded of the last year's birthday, how it was celebrated, what was given, and all that. So it was actually pricked and retrieved, willingly or unwillingly. It was pricked and retrieved. How could you retrieve it? Because it was stored in the preconscious mind. You hate him or her because he or she let you down. But as you were hurt and you were actually unconscious, because subconsciously, actually, you were reminded of this. How could it happen? Because it's stored in the preconscious mind. Now, I have given you two examples. The definition of psychology, you were not thinking of it right now. But as I ask you what is the definition, you actually could retrieve. That is your preconscious mind. It's there in the preconscious mind. Once pricked, it is retrieved. Is it clear, the two parts?
Yes, madam.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
good. Then we'll go to the third part of our mind, according to psychoanalysts and Sigmund Freud. That is the unconscious mind. Unconscious mind. Our unconscious mind is the largest part of our mind, and it is compared to the unseen part of the iceberg, which is under deep water. It is compared to the unseen part of the iceberg, which is under deep water, and you cannot see that, right? So that part is compared to our unconscious mind. And what is the size of the unconscious mind? It is not exact, right? This is just a kind of uh, not physical, right? Okay. Um, not concrete, right? It is actually more than 80% of your whole mind is your unconscious mind. More than 80% of your whole mind is your unconscious mind. So then what is stored in the unconscious mind? You and I, we don't know what is, there's some distractions to play. I think if you can actually, if your background noise is not good, please mute yourself, because it's actually difficult for me to continue otherwise. Okay, don't misunderstand. Then unconscious mind, you and I do not know what is stored there. Now, we all have more than 80% of our mind that is unconscious mind. But you and I do not know what is stored there. Okay? You and I do not know what is stored there. So, according to psychoanalysis,
ஏய் ஏய் போங்க ரெண்டு பேரும் அங்கல நான் படிக்க விட்டுட்டு அங்கல போ அலைன்ஸ் எடுத்து கொண்டு போற அதை எழுதி எழுதி கேத்த போய் பாருமா போ
okay. So, you and I, we do not know That is the largest part of our mind, more than 80% of our mind. But you and I do not know what is stored there. But according to psychoanalysis, what is stored in the unconscious mind is our childhood experiences, which became conflicts. Our childhood experiences, which became conflicts. We are born with libidos, the fulfillment of libidos, irrational thoughts, conflicts that could not be resolved in childhood. They are stored in the unconscious mind, but you and I, we don't know, right? But all these three parts of our mind, conscious, preconscious, and unconscious, what is going on in our mind, all the thoughts and processes and emotions in these, all the three parts, accordingly we behave. So the most magical thing or critical thing is more than
Mommy,
80% is unconscious.
mommy, mommy,
More than 80.
mommy.
Excuse me, teacher. Can you
Yeah,
mute your mic?
yeah, who is that actually? අපි දන්නවා it's actually very මේ sensitive thing because it's your kid. But it's very disturbing, no? We are distracted because of that. If your background noise is not good, you can mute, right? Okay. So then, you know, our behavior is due to all the three parts. And the largest part is unconscious, and you and I do not know as an adult that I also have more than 80% of my unconscious mind. All my childhood experiences, conflicts, irrational thoughts, and libidos unresolved. And accordingly, that we behave. All the three parts are equally responsible. So, because of that, in psychoanalysis school of thought, focusing on that only, that actually scientifically studied the mind through the observable behavior. And in your syllabus, now, behaviorism, there are two theories for you. And in psychoanalysis school of thought, you have another two theories to discuss. Very interesting. So these theories tell you, according to this behavior in adulthood, this is what you have as a conflict in your unconscious mind. Like that, they discuss. So you will come to know them. And there are two theories in your syllabus from psychoanalysis perspective. Got it?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Yeah. So from behaviorism, there are two theories. From psychoanalysis, there are two theories. So behaviorism, the two theories believing that we behave like this because we are responding to our environment. Psychoanalysis, we have two theories believing that we have three parts of our mind, and largest part is our unconscious mind, and our unconscious mind, accordingly that we behave. So to read our unconscious mind, we have two theories. That is Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson. මම නිකන් psychologists ලගේ නම් විතරක් දෙන්න. I'm giving you the names of the psychologists. Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson. Okay, if you don't get it, don't worry. We are discussing them in the syllabus, in the rest of the content. Okay, that is a second major school of thought. Behaviorism and psychoanalysis is the second major school of thought. Then we'll
Madam,
go to, yeah, dear.
madam, can you explain again about the pioneers of behaviorism? Ivan Pavlov, B.F. Skinner, and the other one?
Watson, W.B. Watson, the pioneers of behaviorism, right? Here, you can see that in this slide. Ivan Pavlov, J.B. Watson, and B.F. Skinner. Okay?
Okay,
We will be
madam.
discussing them further separately, so don't worry.
Okay, madam.
Then here Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson. I will type it here. Can't type now. Insert unknown. E-R-I-K, Erik. E-R-I-K, Erikson. E-R-I-K-S-O-N. Erik Erikson is also from psychoanalysis. We have two theories. There are others also from Carl Jung, very important. But we are not going to discuss all of them. But I have two theories from Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson for you. Okay? Otherwise,
Okay.
Carl Jung is also very important psychoanalysis analyst. But we have theories from Sigmund Freud and Erik Erikson. Right. Then we'll go to the third school of thought. Wait. I think I have to get here first.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Can you explain the unconscious part again?
Okay. Now, getting back to this slide then, unconscious mind. So our mind has three parts: conscious, preconscious, and unconscious. Unconscious mind is compared to the iceberg, because we are drawing this iceberg analogy. So that is the part of the iceberg which cannot be seen, which is under deep water, right? So our unconscious mind is also, we don't know what is stored there. As you can't see that part of the iceberg which is under deep water, in the what is stored in the unconscious mind also, you don't know what is there, right? Then according to psychoanalysts, what is stored in the unconscious mind is unresolved conflicts of our childhood. Childhood experiences matter a lot. And we are born with some physiological needs to be fulfilled, social needs to be fulfilled. And when we actually
Excuse me,
don't,
madam.
yeah,
Can you tell me what are the spellings for the iceberg?
spellings for the iceberg,
Yes, madam.
ICEBERG. Okay.
Okay, madam. Thank you.
Okay. So there are actually libidos, social needs that we are born with. And when we do not actually fulfill them, gratify them, we are in a conflict as children, as young, and then they become unresolved conflicts and they get stored in the unconscious mind. But the thing is, even today, we don't know what is there in our unconscious mind. So if you want to know what is there in your unconscious mind, you have to look at the behavior and interpret it through the psychoanalysis theories, scientific studies. Now, for example, if you know somebody as an adult, right, who actually is always biting their nails, according to psychoanalysis, there's something in the unconscious mind due to a childhood experience, right? As a result, you are biting your nails as an adult. So they are discussing theories. So to discuss those theories, we have two theories only. One, Sigmund Freud's psychosexual theory of development, and Erik Erikson's psychosocial development theory. So we will discuss them when we come to them. This is just an introduction to the four major schools of thought. So according to psychoanalysis, our mind has three parts, focusing on that only, that they actually did scientific studies to study the mind through the observable behavior. That was their focus. For the time being, it's enough. I think it's understood, Kela, now. Not everything, because we have not discussed the theories now. That girl who asked that question, to explain this again, is it okay now?
Yeah, ma'am. Okay.
Yes,
Right.
ma'am.
Yeah, good. Then we come to the third school, major school of thought. The third major school of thought, cognitive perspective or cognitive school of thought. Cognitive school of thought or cognitive perspective. What is their focus on the belief about our mind and behavior, right? According to cognitivists, cognitive psychologists, our behavior is a result of our internal mental process of thought, right? Our behavior is a result of internal mental capacities of ours. What are these internal mental capacities of us? Starting with sensation, perception, memory, attention, forgetting, problem solving, logical thinking, etc. So cognitive psychologists, they don't actually focus on our interaction with the environment. As cognitive psychologists, they don't focus on the three parts of the mind. Instead, cognitive psychologists actually focus on our internal mental capacities. What are our internal mental capacities? We have 5 senses. We see, we hear, we taste, we smell, we feel. So through the 5 sensory organs, eyes, ears, nose, mouth, and skin, we receive lots of information. And when we receive those information, we interpret them, we perceive them. It's a red frock. It's a long frock. It's a very expensive frock. It has buttons. Like that, we are going to give meaning to the information we received through our eyes. So through our 5 senses, we actually receive information and we interpret them, right? And that is perception. So sensation and perception. And you interpret them by paying attention, no? Now, for example, in the class, there are 50 students, but your favorite color is red. So there's a girl in red. So you look at her. So you pay attention to her. So then you see, it's a beautiful dress. It's an expensive dress. It's a nice dress. That is sensation, attention, and perception. And then you commit it to the memory. After going home also, that you remember that beautiful dress. And then you wanted to actually recall the color and everything and the design and everything. And then that is memory. And then it can go further, like problem solving, logical thinking, creativity, and all that. So they are all internal mental capacities of the individual. So cognitive psychologists actually, based on that only, that they actually conducted studies to study the mind to the observable behavior. Is it okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So who are the pioneers? Who are the pioneers of cognitive psychology? Jean Piaget. You have this Piaget's theory of cognitive development. That is the first theory we discussed. Okay? Jean Piaget. And you have another theory from cognitive school of thought, Gagne. Gagne. Gagne's information processing theory. So Jean Piaget and Gagne. We are going to discuss Jean Piaget and Gagne in the module. So they are from cognitive school of thought. So I told you from behaviorism, we have 2 theories by Ivan Pavlov and B.F. Skinner. We have 2 theories from psychoanalysis school of thought, that is by Freud and Erik Erikson. And then when it comes to cognitive perspective, they think that we behave because of our internal mental capacities, sensation, attention, perception, memory, problem solving, logical thinking, creativity, those aspects. And we have 2 theories to discuss by Jean Piaget and Robert Gagne. Robert Gagne. Gagne, Robert Gagne. Is it clear to you about this cognitive psychology?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Then we go to the
Yes,
fourth.
madam.
Yeah, thank you for responding. Okay. Then we will go to the fourth school of thought of psychology. Fourth major, right? There are others as well. There are very insignificant other ones also, but we are looking at the four major. The fourth major school of thought in psychology is the humanistic perspective or humanistic psychology. Humanistic, right? Pioneer is Carl Roger. Pioneer is Carl Roger. In your syllabus, you have Carl Rogers, a theory by Carl Rogers, and we have another by Maslow, Abraham Maslow, Maslow. There are two theories from humanistic perspective also by Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers is the pioneer, and we have another one from Abraham Maslow. Okay. So what is their assumption or the belief about studying the mind through the observable behavior, right? They assume or they believe that, or they focus on rather, right? They don't focus on our interaction with environment, our our three components of the mind, or internal mental capacities like sensation, attention, perception, memory, blah, blah, blah. But instead, their focus is on this. This is what? Self-concept. Self-concept. Self-concept image is not there, no? What is what is meant by self-concept then? What is meant by self-concept then? Self-concept is what we think of ourselves. Self-concept is what we think of ourselves. That is their actually focus. One self-concept, what we think of ourselves, right? What we think of ourselves is self-concept. So Carl Rogers believed that, right? We need to actually develop a positive self-concept. We need to develop a positive self-concept to become fully functioning individuals. To become fully functioning individuals. Focusing on the concept of self-concept to become fully functioning individuals, humanistic psychologists actually study the mind through the observable behavior. Their focus is that. So if you develop a positive self-concept, each and every individual has the desire to become a self-actualizer, right? That is the highest achievement, to become a self-actualizer, to become a fully functioning individual otherwise. And according to Carl Rogers and humanistic school of thought, in order to actually fulfill that desire in the individual to become self-actualizers by being a fully functioning individual is possible through a positive self-concept. What we think of ourselves should be positive. What we think of ourselves should be positive. So we will be discussing them further. We have two theories by Carl Rogers and Maslow in our syllabus. Okay,
Madam,
yeah.
madam, can you explain about the self-concept again?
Yeah, self-concept, of course, I can explain it further in the theory. Okay, now for the time being, I will tell you self-concept is what we think of ourselves. What we think of ourselves. Now, self-concept has three parts: self-image, ideal self, and self-esteem. Self-image, ideal self, and self-esteem. Self-image is what you think of yourself, right? Self-esteem is the value you give to it. Ideal self is because of the influence of others. Maybe society, maybe parents, maybe religion, maybe politics, maybe neighbors or whatever. You want you to be somebody, right? That is ideal self. For example, now you are very fond of music. So you always want to listen to music. That is your inner self. So that is your, actually speaking, self-image. You know, I like music and I'm happy when I listen to music. And always your parents tell you, all your cousins are doctors and engineers. Stop playing these instruments. Don't listen to music. Focus on study and get into medical faculty or engineering faculty. That is actually the influence that you have. Because of that, you will not place value on your talents and what you want to do. So you will actually develop a poor self-esteem about your talents, right? And then as your parents tell you, if not, only doctors and engineers are respected. If I become a musician, I will not be respected by the society. So social ideologies. So you yourself might think, right? I'm not going to be a musician, I'm going to be an engineer. So your self-image is, you know that you like music. Your ideal self is, I want to become an engineer. And there's a big gap between the two. So that is how you develop a poor self-concept. So you are good in music, and your parents and everyone else, and you also give a good value. Music, I can do kela. So you have a very good self-esteem. And because of that, you're going to pursue your career in music. Then you develop a positive self-concept, what you think about yourself. But we are discussing them in theories. As you wanted me to explain that concept of word further, I explain it a bit. You understand? So ultimately, self-concept is what we think of ourselves. Okay. Do we always have a positive self-concept? I'm asking you. Think of
No.
yourself. No,
No.
no,
No.
Actually speaking, the notion is, the literature says, according to the facts and figures, in this highly materialistic competitive world, right, we tend to develop a poor self-concept. As we develop a poor self-concept, we can't fulfill our desire to become a fully functioning individual or a self-actualizer. We can't climb up there. Instead, we get stuck. Why? We develop a poor self-concept. Even the very parents, right? They are ignorant. They love their children, I know. They love their children from the bottom of their heart, and they are so precious to them. But in this materialistic world, your parents push you to do your studies without thinking of your own inner feelings and what you want to do and all that. And as there is competition, always you give them conditional love. Conditional love, if you become the class first, I will buy you this. And when everybody comes, my son is the first in the class, then the younger son is not very good in studies. He is not admired. Only the firstborn child who is talented is admired. So they don't think, but they do things like this. And it happens at every level, at home, in school, and everywhere. So because of that, the tendency is to develop a poor self-concept. When we develop a poor self-concept, we will never become self-actualized as a fully functioning individuals, but we all are born with the desire to become a self-actualizer. Experiences stop you somewhere. Okay? That is about humanism. Carl Rogers and Maslow's theories will be discussed from humanistic school of thought in due course as the course content. Now the subtopic covered was the four major schools of thought and introduction to them. not in deep, not in depth that we discussed, but I introduced the four and I introduced the theories to each, that what we are going to do as the rest of the syllabus. Is it clear, please?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
madam.
Yeah, clear.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, madam, I didn't hear. What did you say? Yes, agree, didn't hear properly. Yes, madam, didn't hear properly. Madam, I can't hear anything. Please mute your mic. Okay. Right. Now you can hear. No, the problem is fixed now, na? Yeah?
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, we have only another 10 minutes වගේ තියෙන්නේ නේද? Am I right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. But I will actually quickly get into this, right? What is educational psychology? What is educational psychology? Now, when it comes to educational psychology, I want to tell you, psychology branched out. It was growing very fast. Psychology as a subject grew very fast because of the rapid growth of psychology. We actually, psychology as a subject branched out. Because, ultimately psychology is the scientific study of the mind through the observable behavior. So we are all dealing with human beings. Whatever the job that you do, you can see, right? You may be a kind of a software engineer, but you can't say that you are working with computers, because you have your bosses, you have your colleagues and all that. We all are dealing with human beings. So everybody became interested in psychology because it's about knowing the mind and the behavior through the behavior. So it's actually everybody became interested, and because of that, uh, psychology branched out. Depending on your interest, you can actually select the branch of psychology. Now, you all are teachers, right? Study of the mind and how it actually is influenced, how it can be, how education can be influenced through the application of these theories is the concern of educational psychology. So there are other psychologists, pure basic and applied. I have given you a list. Social psychology, child psychology, abnormal psychology, physiological, animal, parapsychology. Parapsychological කියන්නේ දැන් ඔය some people they come and talk about previous births and all that, the existence of gods and other elements and all that. That is parapsychology. Okay. So in applied branch, you have educational psychology, industrial psychology, clinical, psychology of crime, military, mental health, psychology in law. So your sub branch of psychology is educational psychology. I will quickly discuss what now I think it's only another 10. I will not discuss this, rather. We will leave it for the next time. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am,
Yeah, ma'am.
I know, are we going to have this PowerPoint
Yes.
to go through again?
Yeah, can I actually, it has some more as well, but it has some more as well. I will tell you, I will put it into the chat. Is it okay? Can you download it if I put it into chat?
Could you please send it to the group, madam?
I'm not added to the group, no.
If you send it to the coordinator, he can send it
Yeah,
to.
that is, I do. That I do. That I do. But for the time being, right?
Yes, ma'am. Time being, if you can add it to the
Yeah,
group, then
anyway,
we
I'm
can download it
sending
from
all the
there.
notes. I'm sending all the notes through the coordinator. But for the time being, I will put it here, okay?
Yes, ma'am. That will be
Yeah,
helpful.
yeah, because then you can read it, no? Otherwise, you might forget and all that, neither. By the
Yes,
time
ma'am.
that you get your notes. Give me a second. And until I actually fix it? Can one of you actually introduce yourself? Can one of you introduce yourself?
You mean we need to introduce ourselves to our friend, colleague?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'm Shashikala Hettiarachi. I'm living in Abu Dhabi. And at the moment, I'm doing as a teaching assistant in Abu Dhabi Cambridge High School.
Okay.
And I have
So,
10 years experience.
yeah, right. Are you a product of College of Education?
Yeah, actually, I'm a high national diploma holder from engineering. Because of the kiddos, I changed it to the teaching side.
Okay, very good. Then it's being sent. It's being sent. Okay. What's your name? You said?
Shashikala Hettiarachi.
Sashikala Hettiarachi. Okay, good. Right? You all are with lots of experience in diverse fields, right? And now
Exactly.
you're working in a school in Abu Dhabi. That is very interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Send somebody else. It's still being sent.
Hi, madam.
Yeah, please.
I'm Vijayanti Amarasuriya. I also live in Abu Dhabi.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, I'm also working in Cambridge High School.
Same
I
school.
also have, yes, same school. And also I have 10 years experience as a teaching assistant.
What's your subject?
Sorry?
What's your subject?
Actually, we are early years.
We do
No.
as early years. Early years,
Yes,
we work as
early
a
years.
homeroom teacher supporting teaching assistant. So
Right.
we do all
Okay.
rounder. We teach it at the
Right.
moment up to 6 years old. That's FS2,
Right.
stage 2.
I understand. Okay, good. So you are exposed to different cultures, neither. It's really
Yeah,
Yes,
interesting. Okay,
yes.
good. Now this is actually a very open world, in globalized. So
yeah.
it's very interesting. Yeah, good. So others, and you can see the PowerPoint is sent to the group or whatever.
Yes,
No, it's
ma'am.
put
We
to the
saw it.
chat. Anyway,
Yeah.
through the coordinator, I'm sharing. Don't worry. Okay. But this is for the time being. I put it into the chat. So one more student can actually introduce yourself. Hmm? You don't want to talk. Silent killers, no? Silence is very dangerous.
Ma'am, I am Hajra Uwais. Now I am living in Saudi Arabia. I am teaching in kindergarten in Bangladesh International School in Dammam.
Wow. What's your experience in kindergarten?
I have 2 years teacher training diploma
From where?
in Sri Lanka.
From which institute?
Yoshida Academy.
I see. Good. So that is why you could secure a job there, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I think you can see the PowerPoint. I will give you the summary of what I did today. I actually started with a definition of psychology. For that, I got you to look at APA definition, American Psychological Association definition of psychology. Psychology is the scientific study of the mind through observable behavior. And we identified three keywords: scientific study, mind, and behavior. Mind is our thoughts and feelings and emotions, the thought process. As it is not tangible, we can't actually directly study mind. So, mind is not observable. So, we look at the observable behavior because our behavior, our actions are a reflection of our mind, and we interpret the behaviors to know what it is in the mind. And we can't actually make it haphazard or random and the way we want. We actually make it scientific study by applying psychological theories, formulated through longitudinal cross-sectional studies done for the generalization of the theories. So we learn theories and apply those theories to study the mind by interpreting the behavior. That is what you're going to do as a kind of professional teacher in understanding your students. You will look at their mind behaviors, and then you will actually understand what is going on in their mind, not just randomly or haphazardly, by applying psychological theories as its scientific study. Okay, then we look at the history, the beginning or the evolution of psychology. Father of psychology, Wilhelm Wundt. Psychology became a separate field of study in 1879 with the establishment of the first psychology lab in Leipzig University, Germany, right? And before that, what we discussed today in psychology was discussed in philosophy and biology, right? And then we discussed the four major schools of thoughts or the philosophies or assumptions of psychology, starting with behaviorism, then psychoanalyticism, and then cognitivism and humanism. Then I discuss what they are, what their focuses are, right? And then finally, we look at psychology as a very vast subject. So it is branched out, and our subject is educational psychology. So next day, we will start with a definition for educational psychology. Okay,
Thank you, madam.
Thank you,
I
madam.
hope that you understand. Am I right?
Yes, madam.
Yeah,
Thank
I
you.
heard a male voice. Who is that? Are you the only male person, only sir in the class?
Sifan.
What's your name? There are two of you, Kilamanidana.
Yes.
What's
Madam,
your
I'm Jayasuriya.
what's your Saran Jayasuriya name?
Chavinda
What's your name?
Kumar Jayasuriya.
Chavinda Kumara Jayasuriya. What do you teach?
English.
English. Very good. Where do you teach? Chavinda Kumara Jayasuriya?
Kakirawa, it is in Andhra district.
Anuradhapura district. So very good. So we have Sanat Jayasuriya, and then who is next? I heard two voices, two male voices.
Sifan.
Sifan. T or E?
He.
The letter?
Hello.
Yes, the letter?
Sifan.
Shifan. Right. Api chiffon kiyamu? Right, okay. Shifan. Where do you teach?
I am teaching at Ansari Puttalam School.
Okay. You teach English?
Yes, I am as a training.
Yeah, training. Okay, no problem. So, with that, we can end the meeting for the day. So, we have another session tomorrow. Am I right?
Yes,
Yes,
Yeah.
madam.
Please come if you can read something on what we have done and write your short notes. I think we have only about 9 to 10 sessions. Okay, maybe 8 or 9 or 10 sessions of 2-hour sessions. And then every day, if you can maintain one A4 paper. So at the end of the course, that module, you will have only 10 pages of short notes. Feasible, manageable. Okay. So regular basis, if you can do that, it's really good. A bit of advice. And I want to tell you, psychology is not actually a subject that you can beat about the bush. Just think and just jot down something is not possible. You have to study, you have to know the words, you have to know the key terms. You have to actually study it and reproduce answers. Because if you take now some other subject, of course, you can think and just beat about the bush. Psychology doesn't allow that. You have to know that. And it's very interesting, actually speaking. It is self-help. Psychology is actually considered as self-help. Because if you know some psychology, it will help you to know yourself first. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
Because of that, actually, it's a very interesting one. For the teachers also, it's very important because you have to know your students. So take this subject a bit seriously up and do regular basis some short notes and listen to the recording and read the note and finish it off regular basis, and then you will find it very easy. A bit of advice, okay?
Ma'am, just as in advance, can you share the PowerPoint so we can go through the PowerPoint when it's easy when you are discussing the stuff, we can put the short notes as well.
I can. Let me
Thank you very
actually
much,
share the
ma'am.
next as well, because I have been teaching psychology for the teachers, education psychology for teachers for the past 20 years.
Oh, that's
So I
great.
have all the stuff, okay? So let me.
Yes. So yeah, then we can go through the
Yeah,
PowerPoint and it's easy for them make the short notes as well.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Miss.
That's a very good request. Vatura It's coming. Let's see, it's being sent. That is topic 2. Okay.
So, ma'am, one more thing. This is a bit sorry for bothering.
Yeah.
Ma'am, regarding that assignment, so every module, once we finish, we need to do the assignment question based or based on the short notes, or can you just explain regarding that one?
Yeah, the problem is that now some of y'all are working, some of y'all are not working. So practical oriented assignment is hardly applicable for you. Because if all are teachers, I could have given you a kind of a case study to be done using your own students, right? But now actually I don't do that, because though the majority are working, some are not working, right? So then they can't actually do a practical one. So normally I set a theory base, but a case study that you can interpret in different ways, like assignment is given to you. So next week, tomorrow even, I can show you the assignment that I'm going to give you.
Yeah, that's great, Miss.
Yeah, I will. Definitely. Okay.
So
What's
when
your
you are
name?
giving the case, I'm Shashikala Hettiarati.
Yeah.
According to regarding the case study, so is there any age limited or any we can use any specific child? There is ageless, or how we can go? Because
That of course depends. I will actually explain it next time, because there are several assignments. What kind of an assignment that I'm deciding on you, I have not thought about yet.
Okay,
Okay.
right.
So
Okay,
give
yes.
me some time for that. I will actually think about what is to be given to you, and then I will accordingly give instructions, Sachikala.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes.
Right. Now topic 2 also you can see, no?
Yes.
Yeah. So maintain the same interest. I like it. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So good night, and I
Good
end the
night.
meeting.
Good night,
Okay.
madam.
Yeah.
Good night,
Okay. Good
madam.
night.
Madam. Good
Thank
night.
you, madam. Good night.
Good night.